My name is Susana, and I'm from Mexican descent. So my family my parents were born and raised in Mexico, and I was born here in the United States and grew up in the Bay Area. And so, like a lot of Mexican families, I was raised Catholic, and I went through all the rites of passages. I did my baptism, my first communion, my confirmation. Um, but I never really felt connected with the religion and with the church. It was really, I guess, something that you just kind of do because you were raised in it. And it wasn't until I was older, and that I wanted to seek God and religion on my own behalf, and not just through my mom or my family. And so I tried to go to church and to mass, but it still felt pretty disconnected. And I think that's when I just kind of wasn't sure, right? Because when you're looking for some grounding, when you're looking for God, when you're looking for connection, and then to go and seek it and not really feel it, it's kind of discouraging. But I always believed in God. That never wavered. And so it wasn't until maybe like end of 2023 that I started to learn more about Islam. And right away it felt like peace. It just felt right. And I fasted the last two Ramadans, actually.
Wow.
So this is
Amazing.
a decision that's been a long time coming. And it definitely took longer than I expected or wanted to, but I'm really happy that I finally had the courage to reach out and do the research and come here and take my Shahada today.
Wow, what an amazing story. SubhanAllah, Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah, I've had the honor of, meeting with several sisters over the years to do Shahada similar to what we're doing here. And the stories are so aligned, SubhanAllah. So many people have very similar stories where they were younger, they were raised in a specific religious background, but they always say the same words. It's amazing that they didn't really feel like they were quite home, with their faith.
That's a great word.
Right.
Yeah, home. It feels like home. Yeah.
Yeah, and that they, went along to church or temple or wherever just because, it's something like you said to do. And I always found it interesting. I'm just curious to know, did you reach a certain point, like maybe if you can recall, like in your earlier teen years where these questions were really kind of pressing on you, like around the adolescent age, 12, 13? Was it anywhere in that time?
No, for me it was much later in my early 20s.
Okay, so it was later in your teens.
Yeah,
okay.
that's when it was.
Yeah, no, I've just noticed again there's a sort of pattern to a lot of these stories. And I remember a while ago reading research that the conversion rate for a lot of people is around that age, 12, 13.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Because you start to question kind of existential questions like, what am I doing here? Where did I come from? Who's God? So all these questions, I think, start for people then. But yes, it may take, some time to get to a more formal process of learning religion. So that it's just, again, thank you so much for sharing your journey, mashallah. And as far as your knowledge of Islam, you said that you just started, at the end of 2023. Did you read anything in particular or see videos, or were there any particular people in your life that kind of helped you along the way?
So I started off mostly listening to podcasts. That was really where I started. I must have listened to dozens and dozens of podcasts. That was mostly it. And then last year, I purchased the English translation of the Quran. And so I read through most of that.
Wow.
I started trying to read it again this year, but mostly through podcasts and then just online also.
Amazing. Great. Well, that actually really helps because, in the process of welcoming people to the faith, we always want to make sure that some of those things that maybe they had from their previous faith that are kind of resolved, right? So you coming from a Catholic background, you obviously know that Islam is a very monotheistic religion. And while we, of course, honor Prophet Jesus, or Isa, who we call him, and his mother, right? She has an entire chapter in the Quran. We do not see them as divine, right? Either of them, that they had any. And that's something that is a departure but I think natural for a lot of people who come from from the Catholic tradition, that they revere them and they love, actually, and I know I've spoken with several people who really love that about Islam, that there's still this connection that they can maintain with figures like Sayyida Maryam, who is considered in our faith one of the four perfect women. She is very much revered, and then of course Prophet Isa and his story. It's throughout the Quran. So you've studied these things. You know that they are very, again, important figures, but not in any way, they don't have any divine qualities, right? Yes. And God is one. Okay, yes. Alhamdulillah. Well, again, that makes it really simple. So, and you also understand that we do not believe in the concept of original sin, correct? That, which goes back to, the origin story of Prophet Adam and Eve. This is a biblical understanding that, that Eve was the one who ate from the apple. She was tempted, and she tempted Adam, and therefore, because she is the one who who tempted him, that she has inherited the sin, and therefore children born from her are they are born into sin. Therefore, that's why Jesus had to come. I'm just summarizing sort of the Christian creed there, that he came to die for the sin of man, because every child is born in sin, according to the Christian background. But we do not have that concept at all. We believe that children are free of sin, and that they're born pure, and that Adam and Eve both shared that responsibility, that they both made the mistake of eating from the tree that they were forbidden to eat from, and that they both repented to God. But the child in Islam is considered pure, and it is only until later on, when they become of age and they have maturity and understanding, that they are then held accountable. But all children, whether they are born into whatever family, if they if anything were to happen to them, for example, they would be considered completely sinless. So children do not inherit the sin of their parents. So in Arabic, we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We begin and we say, and you can repeat after me, so I'll just do it word by word, okay? So we say, Ash, Hadu, An, La, Ilaha, Il Allah, Wa, Ash, Hadu, Anna, Muhammadan, Rasul Allah. MashaAllah. Excellent. Alhamdulillah. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. So, Sister Susana, you just said, I testify, or I bear witness, that there is no God with a small g, but the one and true God. And I testify and bear witness that Muhammad is his last and final messenger. And that is all it takes for anyone to proclaim in front of witnesses, that they are immediately accepted into the Ummah. And I believe, and I think all of us believe as well, that you were Muslim just before you came here. Your faith has been so concrete, mashallah, and obviously for you to fast it and to learn so much. So you were already a Muslim and a believer, and you were already part of the Ummah, but mashallah, now we've done the formal ceremony for that. And so welcome to the faith of Islam, mashallah, Mubarak.